All right. Well, hello, everybody. This is Kai Deering, and you're watching an episode of On the Fly with Kai, where we're able to do tricks, tips, and hacks for the entrepreneur. And I'm super jazzed today to interview a dear friend of mine. I've known him for 20 years. I can't believe this. And, I love him because we met in business together as entrepreneurs. But since then, my goodness. Not only is he a father, he's gone on to be an actor. In fact, he is it Detective Culligan? Am I saying that right?
Cullen, Cullen,
Detective Cullen on Chicago PD. He's an author. Is it seven-time best selling author?
one-time bestseller. Yeah.
Incredible. He recently got two, not one, but two MBAs. He's a little bit of an overachiever, but one of his favorite things is being a father. So please help me welcome to the virtual stage, Mel Roberson. Hey, doll, how you doing?
I'm wonderfully well, Kai Deering. How are you?
I'm good. I feel like you are just such a superstar. So not only are you a television star, but you just do so much. And I know people here today are like, man, if I could just do one of those things, be an author or an entrepreneur or an actor or get my MBA or this and that, but you did it all. What in the world do you do that other people haven't cracked the code on? Like, how in the world are you able to do all that, sir?
I think I like to stay busy to stay out of trouble. so I find things to do. I find productive things to do that just help me stay out of trouble. I love learning. Everything that I do really just takes me to another level. I never want to be the smartest person in the room, but I wouldn't mind being the third smartest.
The
so,
third smartest.
it's just one of those things where I love learning. What can I do next? I have a saying: I want to die empty, right? I want to use everything that's in me and learning and growing and building businesses and meeting people and having experiences and traveling the world. All of those things are things that I'm into.
It was funny. I said to somebody once that like I wanted to say on my tombstone, all used up.
Yep, that's
Like
it.
I used it all up. I gave it all on the court, if you will.
Nothing
Okay.
left.
So I get it. You want to stay out of trouble, keep busy. I think a lot of us are the same way. Entrepreneurs are wired like that. We need to do a lot of different things. Otherwise, we get bored very, very quickly. But how do you do it all? You know, you recently got married as well. So what in the world? I know, right? Congratulations.
Thank
So
you.
how do you balance all this, juggle all this, maintain it all, and do it well? I mean, you've earned over $1 million with your entrepreneurial venture. You get $10,000 contracts with your consulting business. You're on a hit TV show. I mean, how can you help us balance juggle?
So I don't think that there's a such thing as balance, right? When I look at my life and I look at the things that I've done, it's really been super focused in one area for a concentrated period of time. For example, we met in the network marketing industry and in our legal show business. While I'm shooting an episode of Chicago PD, I'm not also doing three-way phone calls for the team, right? I'm like, when I'm on set, I am Detective Cullen, and that's all I'm doing, right? Or whoever I'm playing, if I'm in a play or whatever, that's all that I'm doing. So I'm able to focus, but it's not like all of this happened overnight either. I took time and gave a lot of energy to particular ventures to get them up and running as to where they're system dependent, where if I needed to step away for a moment, I could, and that business could still run with me, just keeping my hand on it a little bit. And that's really been the secret sauce, partnering with good people, getting good people in various organizations to work with me. My wife and I do a couple of different things. We have a professional development company where we offer seminars to a variety of organizations, from schools all the way up to billion-dollar corporations. Like I've done PD for ComEd, which is our power company in Illinois, Boys and Girls Club of America, different pharmaceutical sales companies. Right, so we're operating at a high level, and there are times when we're working it together, but there's times when she just has to do stuff on her own, because I'm working on another project. So it just kind of depends. But the thing that I will say is you have to give something an extreme amount of focus to get it running properly. And once you have it running properly, then you can set off and do something else. I didn't do all, 15 things. I don't even think it's really 15. It's more like five, but I didn't do them all at once. It wasn't like a everything everywhere all at once situation. It was, okay, I built my Legal Shield business. It's running successfully. I have other leaders. Bam. I built this a consulting business, and they can depend on me for certain things. I've automated certain things. I have certain resources for them when they need it. Bam. Okay, I'm writing a book right now. So these are the hours of the day that I focus just strictly on writing. Okay, I'm doing that. Bam. The t-shirt company, I got other people that can take orders and do design work and all of that, but I put the infrastructure together. So now when people need shirts, I do a bit of a membership intake, not membership intake, but an intake of what they need. I hand it over to my design guy, who hands it over to fulfillment, who gets it to the customer, and I just did the initial setup. So all of these things, though, I built rock solid first, and then I went on to some, not went on, but could put something else on my plate because I cleared it a little bit.
Got it. Well, so it sounds like when you're like doing your acting or you're doing your business or you're doing the consulting, you're all in, just
Mm-hmm.
focused on that, and then you can move on. I love it. I know Atma is watching, and he asked, I'm not sure I totally understand it. He says he's loving your success conversation series. Do you find being an actor where conversational storytelling is a natural transition for you for training? Hopefully
Uh,
you
I,
understood that.
yeah, I understand it, and I appreciate Atma. He comes to a lot of my virtual events, actually. So I think that my life in general, my life helped me with acting more than acting helped me with my life. So by the time I started acting, I was already doing presentations. I was already comfortable being in front of a room of people. I was already comfortable being interviewed or having conversations or being recorded because of the various things that I had done before. So by the time I became an actor, it was like, oh, this is just an addition to the things that I'm already doing. So um, I have more background as a speaker and a trainer than I do as an actor. So I think that field helped me more with acting than acting helped me with training.
Well, it's interesting too, because I always say to anyone who joins the network marketing profession that they'll be better at everything for their involvement in that, because we do learn,
Mhm.
presentation skills, and we do learn personal development and all that good stuff. So, would you say that that was kind of your breeding ground and jumping off point to all these other things that you've done?
For sure, definitely with the mentorship and the everything, um, from being a network marketer. Yeah, I know that getting involved in our company, I got involved in a personal development company that just happened to have a compensation plan attached to it. Right. So all the things that I learned, all the relationships I've built, the people that have helped me along the way, that's been more of a thing that's gotten me. Like, I wasn't a best-selling author before I was a networker. I was a networker first. I learned all of these things, or I learned a lot of things. I can't say everything, but a lot of things in the industry, and boosted my confidence, quite frankly, to the point where I was like, I believe I can do this. Like, this is, you start making some money, and your confidence level goes up, right? That's why when you see, I think confidence is everything, honestly. When you see, if you ever see a couple and you're like, man, how did he get that girl? It was probably might have been his confidence. It wasn't his looks, but it might have been his confidence.
I think it might be his bank account. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
but
yeah, but that made him confident, right?
there you go. It's so
Yeah.
funny. I know you talked a lot about like routines. I know every day probably is different for you. But you said something on the pre-interview just about how you have a morning routine.
Absolutely.
that kind of keeps you solid through the rest of the day? Because every day is different, I'm assuming, correct for
Every
you?
day is super different. And
But the morning remains the same.
being on the West Coast now is kind of messing with my routine because it's a 2 hour time difference. We read a book by Robin Sharma called The 5 a.m. Club. And when I tell you life changing, mind boggling, and I mean, as a networker, my thing was always, oh, I sleep till I'm done sleeping. I own my own time. Alarm clocks are alarming, so I don't use one. Which, for the most part, is true. I do own my own time, but now I'm choosing to do more with my mornings and really get my day started in a fashion that is different than anything I've ever done in my life. So creating this routine of being up at 5 a.m., getting 20 minutes of exercise in, 20 minutes of journaling, and really setting the pace for my day, setting the intention for my day has benefited me, far beyond anything I could ever imagine. Cause I'm like, nobody should be doing anything at 5 a.m. It used to be my attitude. Like
Mine.
this is the reason why I'm not in corporate America. So I don't have to get up, but I don't have to. I just choose to. And I'm getting so much more done with my day that my days are generally ending a lot earlier too, because I've done so much during the day, not because I'm sleepy, but
I was like, I'd
but
be exhausted.
yeah, I've done so much during the day, and I'm not so much of a night owl as I was before too. I used to stay up really, really late at night, going to bed 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Of course, I'm not doing that now, getting up at 5 a.m. But even if you don't get up at 5 a.m., I guess the point of this segment of the conversation is the intention you start your day with, the intention and attention that you start your day with can be a serious catalyst for your success. If you're waking up in the morning and the first thing you're doing is grabbing your phone and you're in the scroll hole, looking at stupid TikTok videos and Instagram and Facebook, and you'll realize that you wasted an hour and a half, 2 hours of your day looking at meaningless stuff that bring you no real value to your life. Right. So even before the 5 a.m. club thing, I have a couple of habits. Like my morning journal routine is writing out my goals, writing out my affirmations, writing down 3 things I'm grateful for, and 3 accomplishments for the previous day. So I write my goals in first person as if I've already achieved them. I am, I have, I do, et cetera, et cetera. I write my 10 affirmations down, and then, what are 3 things that I'm grateful for? And try to find 3 new things every single day to be grateful for. So I'm not repeating stuff. And I mean, it could be small stuff like, yo, this piece of chocolate that I had from Switzerland was amazing that my friend brought back for me, right? I'm grateful for that. And then three accomplishments from the previous day, three wins. And they don't have to be ginormous wins. It doesn't have to be you landed a new contract. It could be as small as, I mean, quite honestly, during COVID, some of those days my wins were I got up and I showered today, right? There was a win during times of this is the thing. Like with successful people, I think a lot of times people look at us as if our lives don't present challenges. And everybody's life is going to present challenges. It's who we choose to be in those moments that determine how extraordinary we are. So yes, I've had times of depression, especially during COVID. I lost 19 people in 2020. So it was tough.
Yeah.
And those wins someday was I got out of bed and I showered. I actually ate today. That's a win. Right. And then I was building on those smaller wins to get bigger wins and bigger wins and bigger wins and bigger wins. And sometimes you do land that behemoth win, but sometimes it's the small stuff too that counts.
And celebrating it all. And I
Yep.
think at the end of the day, it's maybe not what time you get up in the day, but it's what you do with that time whenever you do get up. Because I have a
Mhm.
good morning routine too, but it starts about 8, 9. So
And that's totally fine. I don't think there is a right or wrong way. It's just my way. For me, being up when the rest of the world is quiet, though, right? It's a different level of awareness. I used to start my days at 10 o'clock. I used to say I am not doing anything, before rush hour. and I still don't go out before rush hour, right? I'm not going anywhere before rush hour, but that calmness of the day, that early in the morning before the rest of the world is moving, my alertness and my senses are just a little bit different. So
I
yeah,
can see
and
that.
this is a new thing for me too. I haven't always been this way, right? This has only been the past 60 days or so that this
Ah,
5 a.m. thing is coming to play.
okay. Well, we'll have to follow up with that as well. I
Mhm.
know anyone can ask questions that you want to, but Atma also said, what is the number one personal development book you would recommend to a starting actor or entertainer? Is there one book? Because you recommended one to me. It's yellow. I can't think of the name of it right now. It was really good.
You're talking about the pin drop principle?
Maybe I have to go look it up. It's at my bedside table. I read that like
Yeah.
6 months ago when you recommended it. It was
It,
really
it,
good.
it might have been if that's about the pin drop principle uses time tested acting techniques for speakers. That's
Yes.
yeah, that's the pin drop
Yes.
principle. Atma, I can't I would have to talk to the person to see what it is that they need before I recommend a book. Personal development is personal, right? So
Mhm.
just because a person is starting out as an actor, I still would like to know what experience they have, because all acting isn't just about being a character. So I would want to know what their mindset is and where they are before I recommend a personal development book for an actor. But there are several books on acting for beginning actors that like are staples. An Actor Prepares is one of the books that anybody that's serious about acting needs that book. An Actor Prepares. There's one called Fluid Body, really talks about the movement of your body as an actor, and when it's appropriate to do certain things. Um, those are just two that I can think of off the top of my head.
Wow. What about I think there's a lot of rejection in acting. There's a lot of
Mhm.
rejection in the network marketing profession. I'm assuming in your consulting business, t-shirt business. I mean, there's a lot of it. So
Mhm.
I'm sure that that would be a great. How do you handle that? Would be great insights for folks here today.
Rejection. How do I go into this without going into this? Because some of this I want to cover at our training tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I
So
don't
if you
want
like what you hear, be sure to
to.
join us virtually or in person if you live in Santa Clara tomorrow at noon Pacific. You'll get some more insights. But
Right. So I don't want to give everything away, but so in Claude Bristol's Magic of Believing, he says that human beings are only born with two fears: the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises.
Mhm.
Every other fear is developed or learned because somebody told you should be afraid of something. Maybe you had an experience that didn't go a particular way, so you develop this fear of it. But at the end of the day, those are the only two fears we're born with. For networkers, since we're taught a particular system and we start with a warm market list, a lot of that fear has more to do with who the person is for you as opposed to what they say. For example, Kai, if tomorrow we're leaving the event and you accidentally bump into somebody because you're texting Mark like, hey, I'm on the way home, and you bump into a guy and he's like, I hate you, you're gonna be like, chill out, dude, it was an accident, I'm sorry, whatever, and you're gonna go about your way. But if you got home and you open the door and Mark is yelling at the top of his lungs, I hate you, that's going to impact you differently based off of who he is, right?
True.
So it's the same when we're building a list and we're talking to people. My mom told me this doesn't sound right, like I don't want to participate in what you're doing, and it hurt because it was my mom, not because she said it, because other people said the same thing and it didn't have the same impact. So depending on the type of rejection, fear of rejection could have a lot to do with who the person is. From an acting standpoint or from a business standpoint, though, one of the things that I realized, whether I'm selling a product or service through one of my businesses or whether it's me auditioning for a role that I don't get, it's more about what's the best fit for the parties involved. I'm
Thank
glad
you.
we
Kay.
can't see Mark saying that. I'm glad that's the point, right? But it's more about what's the best fit for the parties involved. So I have a friend who's a filmmaker. I've been in several of his films, and excuse me, he's actually shooting one right now in Atlanta. He sent me the script or part of the script and said, record this section and this section in a self tape. I want to send it to the casting directors to consider you for this film. Now, it's a really good friend of mine. I mean, I was one of the groomsmen in his wedding. I DJ'd his wedding. I've been in several of his films. I didn't get the part, right? And so, knowing who got the part and knowing that based on the chemistry of all parties involved, this gentleman is a better fit for the film than me. Excuse me. It just made sense for him to have it. So it's less about the rejection and more about what's the best fit. In my consulting business, sometimes there are people that get a contract that I don't get. Do I think I could have done a better job? Possibly, but they know things about their company that I don't know. So maybe they thought it was a better fit. I don't know. And I live out of an abundance mentality. So I know there's something else out there for me. And I'm just waiting to go get what's out there for me.
Yeah, it's a great attitude. And I
Hmm.
think, on the same rejection line as they're afraid. Sometimes people don't even, they're so afraid of rejection, they don't even ask. And if you don't ask for business or for a date, even, or for whatever it is, if, closed mouth doesn't get fed, what would you like if you were to coach somebody through fear? What would that look like? I mean, there's just so many people I think that are afraid.
Right. So I have a saying: worry, which is also fear, worries are nothing more than prayers for things that we never wish to happen. So a lot of times we're projecting the energy that we don't want before we even ask the question. So people are afraid to ask because they're afraid of what they're going to say. They're afraid they're going to be turned down. They're afraid they're not going to like it or be liked or whatever it is. Well, the reality of it all is you're putting that energy out there before you even have an opportunity to ask, right? So the first thing is mindset. What do you really think about? And in one of my trainings, I talk about deserve and desire, right? So you can desire something. You can desire to make a six-figure or seven-figure income. You can desire that. Do you really feel that you deserve it though? Because if you don't
Mm,
feel that you deserve it, it doesn't matter that you desire it. So we got to work on your deserving, and what does that look like? So this whole fear conversation, I mean, we could have a whole separate show just on this alone. You've heard the acronyms: fear is false evidence appearing real. No, it's really real. It If I feel it in my gut, it's real. If I feel it in my heart, if my heart rate elevates and my palms start sweating, like, it's real to the person. It's very real to the person. And I don't want people to be fearless. I would rather them be courageous, because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is being afraid and doing it anyway. And so
absolutely.
by overcoming it, by facing it, by expanding their comfort zones, and these are some of the things I'm going to talk about tomorrow. You can do it. But again, getting those little wins helps build that up. Getting those little wins helps create a better attitude or a better mindset for it. So how I like to approach it is, what would life look like if everything went right?
Yeah.
Right? If by you asking this person, to take a look at your product or your service or your opportunity or your t-shirts or your whatever, if everything went right, what would it look like? Is that what you desire? So, is them saying no worth the risk? Because if they say yes, this is what it's going to look like. And my wife is a perfect example. My wife is a perfect example because we were friends at first. Like, it was When we met, we talked about business stuff. And she shot her shot. One day she said, I need to come by the house. I want to talk to you, because we had been friends and hung out and all of this other stuff. And she was like, hey, I know you're seeing somebody, but it's not exclusive. And so if that's the case, I'd like to be considered. She got a whole husband out of the situation.
I love it.
Yeah. So, but it took some courage for her to do that. Was she afraid? Was she nervous? Absolutely, she was. But the courage that it took to do that, she realized potentially this could be bigger than the end result of him saying, well, yeah, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And here we are living an amazing life.
Congratulations on my anniversary, getting married on
Yeah,
my anniversary.
we share the anniversary now.
Thank you for
Awesome.
that. And you reminded me of mine last June. So thank you for that. He was like,
You're
we got married
welcome.
on the same day. I'm like, oh, it's my anniversary. Snap. Yeah. 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 So I know we are potentially, it's just such a weird thing. So we've gone through, the shutdown, the great pause, whatever you want to cause it or call it. I'm not sure what we're heading into. Is it a recession? I mean, I don't think we've never seen anything like what's going to be happening here. So if you were to, kind of have a crystal ball for 2023, what are some advice or some things that you would? Oh, this is cute too. Amanda says Mo rocks. There you go. Yes, she does. So, going into 2023 in these uncertain times, what would be some advice? Because, I think one of the things I would say is, being an entrepreneur is not as risky as having a job. I've been with my company for 21 years. My husband now has had 6 jobs in 21 years, right? So, what kind of advice would you give someone going into 2023 to either weather a recession or whatever the heck is coming up?
um, the first thing that I would say is make sure you're taking care of your mental health. It's super important. One of the things I do is I DJ, and there's a pretty famous DJ that committed suicide recently. So take care of your mental health. The world is a crazy place, and you don't need to be crazy in it. I would say take care of your mental health, number one.
Good.
Number two, sharpen the axe, right? Get better. Constantly work on getting better and building your skills, figuring out what you deliver to the marketplace that is needed. The marketplace will reward you for value. So whatever value you bring to the marketplace, that is what you're going to get rewarded for. So make sure you're adding value to the marketplace. The third thing is, remember, none of this is going to matter in 100 years when you're dead, right? So take calculated risks. People get so worried about, how am I going to look, and will this be accepted, and what will they think of me? None of this is going to matter in 100 years. Nobody's going to remember. It's going to be fine. You're not going to die. Take the risk, man. Shoot your shot. You got to. Life is too unpredictable. People say life is short. Anytime one of my friends tells me life is short, I say, no, no, no. We're not going to speak life is short into existence. Life is unpredictable, but we're not going to speak life is short. But since life is unpredictable, you might as well do some things to help predict how yours is going to turn out. There's a huge difference between fate and destiny. Fate is, all right, once you're born, one day you're going to expire. That's your fate. You can't do anything about that. Your destiny, which has the same root word of destination, means that you have some control in that, right? So if the GPS is going and you go off track, they give you, all right, so tomorrow I got to be in Santa Clara, and I'm not staying in Santa Clara, so here's my hotel and here's the address to the center where we're going to be, right? And it's going to give me a map. I can follow it, or I can go a different direction and go the direction I want to go. Ultimately, I want to get to my destination, but I control how I get there. So understand that you have more control than you think. You don't have to wait on other people. Keep going until you find the right answer. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are waiting for permission, and guess what? I give you permission. Do whatever you do. What makes you happy. You know what I mean? It's like, and I love that life is too short. I know you were saying that, one of your claim to fames is that you're well rounded and well grounded.
Hmm.
And I thought that was really cute. And could you explain a little bit about what that means and how others could take advantage of that saying? Because I think that's really good.
Yeah. So, I've done some pretty cool stuff in my life. Studied abroad. I've seen some of the major wonders of the world, Stonehenge. I was at the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the Flavan Amphitheater, which is what people call the Coliseum. Like, I've seen some cool stuff in my life. I've shared TV screens with world famous actors. I remember the first time Obama was in office. I was in a hotel at the Ritz Carlton in downtown Chicago, and I got on the elevator with Forrest Whitaker. Right, like these are the experiences of my life.
Nice.
Right, but I don't let any of that change who I am at my core. Do I associate with people differently? Yes, I choose my associations differently, but it's not like Mel thinks he's better than me, or Mel is, I don't think you'll find too many people that'll be like, oh, Mel's just super stuck up, right? I'm pretty down to earth, well rounded in the sense that I do the things that bring me joy and I find a way to do them well. I set no limitations. So I like music, I like art, I like acting, I like food, I like, right. I'm well rounded. I experience things in the world and I go after the things that I want, but I'm also well grounded in the sense that I bleed like anybody else. I hurt like anybody else. I feel like anybody else. I don't start believing my own press. Yes, I do think that I was put on earth to do some amazing things, but I'm not believing my own press so much that, I think I'm better than other people, or I have the right to treat people a certain way. One of the things that my wife and I do a lot of is donate to the homeless. Like, we're always taking food and clothes and stuff, and it's amazing when you take the time to actually talk to them instead of just dropping off boxes. Like, there was a guy who was a medical doctor, like has an MD, and hit a really rough patch in his life, and which led to some mental health challenges, which led to him losing his wife and his children and his practice and all of these things. But just 10 years ago, this guy was high on the hog in a prestigious suburb, of Chicago, and just doing extremely well, to homeless. Really puts things in perspective, right? So I believe in well-rounded and well-grounded, and knowing that anything could happen at any time. So I just do my best to try to predict my own future.
I love that. And actually, speaking of tomorrow, if you come in person, we are supporting Home First, and they could really use your gently used warm clothing because it's cold. I know, Mel, it's not as cold as it is in Chicago. But they also could use new underwear, socks, things like that. So we are bringing that for our unhoused brothers and sisters for the winter Santa Clara shelter that happens to be right by my house here in Sunnyvale. We brought by a bunch of clothes and things just on Tuesday, and there's a lot of people that were very appreciative and glad to have it. So bring that with you if you come in person on Tuesday, or excuse me, in person tomorrow, and we will make sure that gets delivered to Home First as well.
So
In,
I'm gonna donate, and I'm sorry because I get a little emotional about stuff like this. Uh,
yeah.
I see your excuse me, your background on this is purple. One of my favorite jackets is I brought with me. It's a Northwestern University Wildcats jacket, and it's purple. It's one of my favorite jackets, and I want to donate that tomorrow at the thing. Right, like it's clothes, and there's somebody that probably needs it way more than I do. It's pretty warm too. It's nice. Um, so I'm gonna donate it. I was just led to when you said that and you were talking about it, man. I mean, there are people out here that are having a hard time, so we can give up a few things for them.
Yeah, it made me a little misty. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and it's one thing to have abundance in your life. It's another to make sure you remember to share it, because I think if you don't, you're going to go back. And I
Yeah.
never want to go back to sleeping. I mean, I've been in places where I've slept on my floor in my apartment. I had no money to even buy food. I was selling clothes and CDs. That tells you how long ago it was. Parking my camper van that was barely running around the corner to go to sales appointments and hiding it. And so, I was pretty much at one point in my life, maybe one check from not being able to be housed as well. So
Wow.
I think it's really important that we give to those folks, and prayerfully we find some solutions for some of that to get some folks on their feet
Mhm.
again. In fact, our team fed 5,000 unhoused brothers and sisters the year before the pandemic, and all those places are now more than ever needing help. So I don't know why we went there, but that was a good one.
Yeah,
Um,
that was good.
but in closing, is there anything that, and it's one of my favorite questions to ask people, is there anything that now, so I love being the age that I'm at, because I really just don't care what people think anymore. And we talked a little bit about that today. I mean, it probably still hurts my feelings if someone doesn't like me. There's a few people that don't like me, and I'm like, oh, but at the end of the day, it's so freeing, being of this age where I just don't care. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
whatever. And I didn't do that in my 20s and 30s. I did care. And so when I'm going to ask you this question, one of the things that I would have said to my like younger self is, just don't sweat it. It just doesn't matter. I think I would have taken more risks. I think I would have been a little bit more bold had I not cared so much what other people think in my 20s and 30s. Everything happens for a reason, and I'm here now. But I'd love to know what you would have told your younger self, if you had the opportunity.
If I had the opportunity to go back and talk to my younger self, I would tell my younger self, don't doubt yourself as much.
Mm,
Like, don't trust your gut and don't doubt yourself as much. I had a lot of periods of time where I hesitated on pulling the trigger on things because I did the what if it doesn't work out? Is the should I really do this? And it was like, man, you know what you're doing. Don't doubt yourself. Pull the trigger. Yes, take those calculated risks. That is what I would say.
I love it. Well, I appreciate your time here today. It's been really educational and really fun. And I want to thank the audience who gave questions and made comments and things like that. I really appreciate it. And if you would, like to continue the conversation with Mel Roberson, myself, and a bunch of other like-minded entrepreneurs, I would say join us tomorrow. It's the December 17th at noon Pacific, all time zones in between. There is a link. It's December 2022 summer or Super Saturday .eventbrite.com. There's a virtual link, and guests are free to come in person or whatnot. And before we close, is there anything else you'd want to mention about the show for tomorrow, or anything else that you want to share before we call it a day?
No, I mean, well, I'll say this. Anytime I don't take it lightly when I'm invited to various places to share with people. I don't believe my own press, but I do think I am here for a reason, and I'm extremely excited to share my little bit of knowledge and information that I've acquired over my 46 years on the planet with you all, and just teach you some concepts that I believe could be extremely helpful. I think that just really, really, mm, what's the best way to say it? In life, we have mentors and we have mistakes, and mentors hurt a lot less. So come get mentored, or come hear a conversation where you could learn some things that could really save your life at the end of the day. What it really boils down to, man, because it's nothing like tasting success and knowing what you're capable of, and that's about it.
Great. And if you're going to come in person, show up, half an hour early. We're going to do some open networking. We are going to spend that first 12 to 1 o'clock sharing a vehicle that we feel like is a jumping off point for almost all entrepreneurs and other ventures. You're going to be a better father, a better person, just for experiencing some of the people that work with us in that first hour. Then we're going to hop into some mindset training, some goal setting, and some incredible things like that. And then lastly, around 4 o'clock, we're going to be having a little party. So we have dream boards, vision boards that we're going to do, and a white elephant gift exchange. So the whole day is going to be a lot of fun, and some pizza will be provided for the after party. But I'm really excited to spend some time. And if you're coming in on virtual, that's great too. We'll start the virtual sharp at noon and share with you a pretty good vehicle for entrepreneurialism. And if you ever want to flex that entrepreneurial muscle, it's a great way to get your feet wet and really learn while you earn. And then, of course, after that, we'll go into the training and all that good stuff. You won't be able to participate with our games and whatnot afterwards, but it'll be a fun time virtual. And great, Amanda says sounds like fun. And so we're looking forward to seeing everyone. With that, appreciate you again, Mel. Love you, adore you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.
For everyone else, take care, take charge. We'll see you over the top, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody. Happy holiday.